and welcome to another iPad calligraphy tutorial. Today we're going to look at how to make birthday invitations in Procreate. So my son just recently turned 1. He is obsessed with the TV show Bluey. I don't know if you know of it, but it's a gorgeous television show set in Brisbane, so it's really relevant to us with loads of iconic sites around the city, and it's a blue healer family. So I'm going to use those characters as the star in this invitation, make it Bluey themed, but of course you could always use a photo of your child in the middle and update the details according to your event. We're going to start this invitation from scratch. You're going to learn how to set up your canvas. By the end of this tutorial, you know how to font match any font that you're looking for. So I'll show you a cool website where you can just use an image and it will tell you what the font is. I'll also show you how you can find substitutes for commercial fonts that are free. And then we're going to install our font. We're going to learn how to outline it, typeset this invitation. We're also going to bring these characters in, and I'll show you how to cut out an image from a background. So for instance, if you have your child on a background, you want to remove the background as shown in this circle here. So you'll also find a free template that goes with this tutorial, and this is what it looks like. And then you can substitute for a different font and bring in the image you like and play around with that. But in this tutorial, I want to show you how to do everything from scratch. So if you wanted to make your own invitation, you could do it like this. Just to let you know as well that none of the Bluey characters are included because of course there's copyright with Bluey. So this is a personal use invitation. I'm using this just as an example to show you. So you would need to replace those images. Great, okay, so let's get into the tutorial. So to create our canvas, you just simply tap on the plus icon in the right and then this little icon at the top right there. I'm going to set my dimensions to millimeters, and I'm using 4.5 inch by 6 inch, which works out to 114 millimeters by 152 millimeters. I've got DPI because I plan to print this, and because I'm printing it, I'm also going to check that it's set to CMYK color profile. You might be in RGB, obviously using the iPad a lot for digital work, but CMYK is also an option, and I'm just going to choose the generic profile and tap Create. So this gives me the blank canvas here. So I'm going to start by making the background a solid color. And to do that, I'll give you the color values, but there's also the color palette as a download, a free download. So all these templates are linked below. Just look in the comments and you'll find a link to download them. But the color value is 70B3EF. So that's the color, and I'm going to drag that, and that's now filled on a new layer. So I'm going to tap another new layer, and just to add a slight bit of dimension and interest, I'm going to add a gradient. So I'll choose this lighter blue color here. The value is 9AC2D6. And I'm going to choose a gradient brush from my free gradient brushes you can find in the shop. So I'm just going to choose gradient right and tap it on the screen. So you can see that's just a lighter sort of shade of blue, and I just want that coming up from the bottom. So I'm going to make sure that the blue is just faded up from the bottom of the canvas. So next I want to bring in my text. So what I'm going to do first, I want the center of the canvas because I want to make sure my text is always aligned at the center. Now I've got a good little tip for you. If you turn on drawing guide here, you get these grid lines, which is great, but you want to come into edit drawing guide and take your grid size right to max, and that will give you the very center horizontally and vertically, and then just choose done. So now we know we can align our fonts right up into the middle. Now I'm going to show you a cool website here that you can use to find your own font. So there's one called myfonts.com and then /whatthefont. So I'll put a link below this video so you can just tap on that link. Now I know that the Bluey font is called Hello Headline, and I've grabbed an image of that Hello Headline here. So I'm going to choose that here. And this What the Font program is brilliant. It's going to come up and say, is this the text area? So I'm going to say, yes, it is, and move forward with that. And then it's going to think about it, and it's told me, yep, it's found the right font. So Hello Headline. So I already knew that, but I just wanted to show you, if you're ever looking for a particular font and you want to know what it is, that website is an excellent one to choose. So then there's this other website called whatfontis.com, because maybe you're just doing something personally and you don't want to pay sort of $50 for a font license for that particular font. Of course, if you're doing something commercially and you're selling it or distributing it, definitely buy the font. But in this scenario, we're just doing something for personal use. So I'm going to find a similar font that's free. So this website's great for that. We just go to similar fonts, and then I'm going to tap in here and write hello headline. That's the name of the font, and you can see it's found it. So it's in the database here, and it's brought up this page showing me all the alternative free versions for this particular hello headline font. So I'm just going to flick through here. I'm going to use this second one here called Daycare Regular. So I'll tap on the download link and then download font. And now you can just choose the download link. So now, do you want to download Daycare Regular? Yes, I do. Tap download. You can see that it's downloading in the top here. So I can tap on there just to see the status of the download. Then you want to tap on the font itself, and it brings you into your downloads folder. Something I just want to show you while we're here though is if you ever wanted to move a file, you can just tap this select here, tap on that selection, and you can move it. So you could actually choose another location either in iCloud or Dropbox. So you can always keep them organized even on the iPad. So don't feel like you have to keep it in this downloads folder. But now we've got this Daycare Regular, that's the font, and it's a zip. So all I do is tap on that to unzip the file, and I can go in here and just see the file. So this has the right file that I need to install into Procreate. So I'm going to go back to Procreate now. And now I'm going to just come in and add some text. I just want to get into my text area. So we go into the wrench icon and the add, and I'm going to add text. And the first line I want to write is, hey mate. If you double tap on this arrow, that means it'll keep it all in caps. So that's handy if you just want to be writing in capital letters. So I'll write hey mate here, and it's in blue. So I want to change that to white. So if we just go edit text and then choose white, it will change the color. Now I may as well, while I'm here, center that. So if you go onto your arrow, remember we brought in our guidelines. I can now just center that using these little dots in the actual bounding box. That shows me the center. So I just want to center that there. Okay, so when you go into edit text again, you'll see you get your keyboard and you get these little two A's. The two A's brings up your style dialog box. So that's where we want to go for this. And now I'm going to choose import font. I'm going to navigate into my downloads folder and go to that Daycare Regular font we just downloaded. And there you have the OTF font file. So I've just tapped on that, and let's scroll through, and there it is, Daycare. So now I've selected my Daycare font and I've got hey mate. Now I want to bring in the name. If you remember, we had, just to show you what the file looks like again, we've got hey mate. The name, it would be the name of the child. I'm just using Bandit as an example, is turning 1. So that's the bit we're working on at the moment. So I'll go back in. So now I want to duplicate this file. We may as well keep all the same settings as before. And I'm going to change the font color here. So if we go into edit type, like before, edit text, and come straight in and change that color. So this color is 4B4470, and that will be in your color palette as well. So we'll edit text here, and I'll just select all of the text, just double tap and you'll get that selection area. And I'm going to type Bandit. Okay, so come in, and if you get this screen and you need your keyboard, there's a little keyboard icon to the top left. Just tap that. Again, I want to keep capitals, so I'm going to double tap my arrow, and that will give me the capitals again. And I'll just type Bandit. And I want to actually increase the size now. So I can come in here, make sure it's all selected by double tapping, and just increase that size. So we'll make that nice and big because that's the name of the child. So you want that to be nice and big. So we'll just bring that up quite tight with the top line. So now we have our name. And now the next line, we wanted, if you remember, is turning 1. So I'm going to do that in white. So I'll select the Hey Mate again and keep it the same size as that. And we just want to keep our layers nice and tidy. So I'm going to group that and just call it top text. Okay, and we'll go back. That's the line we want to edit. So edit text, come back in, select all the text, and we're going to use our keyboard to write in capital letters, is turning 1, and exclamation point. Now, what I want to do is outline this bottom text. So how we do that is to duplicate the text and keep one layer in the white, but then I want to come in to edit text on this second duplicated version, come back into the style area, and you'll see there's this outline. So I'll just tap that, and it's as easy as that. It's a really cool feature in Procreate that you can just outline text so easily. So what it does though is gets rid of the fill. So you need that duplicated version that we created just so that the fill, you could change that to any color as well, just like we do edit text and then come in and change it to blue or whatever you like. But just keep in mind that you'd need a duplicate version if you want the fill, because it gets rid of the fill. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to move that up slightly, select my 2 layers. We'll keep it as text rather than, rendering it into an image. Make sure it's centered and nice and tight there. So next I'm going to create the photo area, which is where the child's face would sit. And you could just draw a circle. I've got a shape pack. This is my ornaments collection with a load of different shapes like that you wouldn't find normally, as well as outlines that match perfectly with those. So I'm just going to use this because I just find it easier. So I've got this dark blue selected, make the circle nice and big, and just tap in the center of the canvas. Now we can align it using those grid lines that we created. So they might be quite light on the screen, but there's one this way and this way. And I just want to align those to the bounding box. So I'll make it a little bit bigger here and then select my arrow and then just make sure that's aligned in the center. And now I want an outline around that. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate it. I'm going to use the bottom version of the circle and I just swipe 2 fingers to the right, which locks the alpha transparency. So that means now I can fill this with any color. I'm going to choose the darker blue. And I'm actually going to just make it a little bit darker than what it is there. So it ends up as 4CA2EF. Then I'm going to tap on the circle and choose fill layer. So you won't see it because it's directly under this one. But if I just enlarge it here, there you'll see that I've got this circle that's just adds that little bevel. It kind of looks like a beveled edge. So I like that. So that's our photo area, but I'm just going to carry on with the text. I just wanted to reserve that space and see how big we needed it. We need that nice and centered in the middle of the canvas. We'll make a new group for it by tapping the layers and choosing new group and then rename that to photo. Okay, and we're going to tap and create a new layer. And then I'm going to add text again. So come to your add box and choose add text. Let's just move it down where we can see it here and make it white. Go into edit text and then choose white. And now this is going to say where because we want to give the where details. As you can see though, the bounding box here, when I'm in the edit text mode, so I'll go back into edit text, you can see this bounding box, the text is centered in there. I actually want this aligned left. So I'm going to come into my style box and there's under attributes, you just want to align it left. And then you don't want it off the canvas here, so just move it with your arrow. So we just want to make that slightly smaller here. So let's select the text here, double tap to select. We can get into our keyboard again or our style settings. I'm just going to make that around 25. You can even just tap in here and type 25. Okay, so that's going to say, go back to the keyboard, where? And then I want a colon. I made that white, but actually looking at the original design, we need that to be blue. So I'm going to come back into edit text and then choose that darker blue. So that just stands out a bit more. And we're going to bring it up a tiny bit. And then I'm going to duplicate that layer and just bring it directly across so that it's in line. But I want it as a separate type file so I can align everything to the left so it looks nice and tidy. So I'm going to edit the text again, and that's going to be white. So edit text, change the text to white, and then we'll just type in here the playground. Of course, you would put whatever your information is, and then we're going to put blue healer street entrance, just for a bit of extra information. And I'm going to make that second line smaller. So again, you tap to select, and then we want to come into our style, so the double A, remember, and then just you can pull the design up so you can see what you're doing, and then just make it sort of fit the length of the word. That looks nice, and that's just a bit of extra information. I think that needs to come over to the left a little bit more, so we've got some more information to go under it, but we just want this to go to the left a little bit more. And I'm going to duplicate both of these layers here. So these are my two layers here, and I will move those down. So we want to keep them in line with the top layer, and this is going to be the date. So I think they need to come up a little bit because we've got another line to fit under there as well. So I'm going to go into the where layer here, and that's going to say when. So just type when, and then I'm going to edit this text, and we don't need that second line, so I can get rid of that. And we'll keep the font nice and big for that. And we'll type Saturday. Okay, so I've got to get this to fit a little bit better. What I'd like is the 23rd of October to fit on one line. So what we can do is to just make things this little bit a bit smaller. So I'm going to select everything and just scale it like this and move it into the center so that fits better. So you can always scale things and keep them as text, and then you don't lose any quality. If it was an image and you were scaling up and down, you would start to see some quality loss, but actually it works just fine here because it's text. So now I want my final bit of information to be the RSVP. So I'm going to duplicate some text here and move it down just to have some text that I can work with. And then this is actually going to edit text. This is actually going to be just in like Arial, a standard font. So I'll go back to my style properties and I'll choose Arial for that and bold. And then we'll make the size smaller. Select the whole line here, and we want to write okay, so RSVP text to Chile. So you want the RSVP information nice and clear so that people know to get back to the mum or the dad and say whether they're coming or not. Cool, so we can just make that a little bit bigger and align it to the middle, just using the arrow tool. All right, we've got everything laid out as we'd want it. Now we want to bring in the characters and just pretty it up. So I've got a couple of examples for you that I want to do. As I said, these are copyright images, so you would need to bring in your own images. I found a PNG file online of Bluey and Bingo, so that makes it nice and easy. You could either import, or I've just got these sitting in a Procreate document. So I'm going to copy and paste those. I've copied them and now I'm going to paste them. And I want them on separate layers. So I'm going to get my select tool here and just highlight Bingo, and I'm going to drag 3 fingers on the canvas and choose cut and paste, and that just simply pastes Bingo on another layer. Now I've got Bluey, and I'm just going to make her a little bit smaller so that her little hand is just poking around the window here. And then I've got Bingo and the balloon. I want the balloon to stay the same size. Select the balloon and then cut and paste again by dragging 3 fingers, cut and paste, move the balloon into the top area. So we can just have that sort of sitting in the top there and just change its position, rotate its angle. And then we want to move Bingo just sort of down here. So make her a little bit smaller. There we go. And the other thing now is to bring in our face. So what I wanted to do is just show you how you would cut around an image. So first of all, import the image that you found. You just go insert a file and find the image that you've downloaded, or insert a photo if it's on your local iPad, and just bring it into a file. And then I'm going to turn off the image so you can see the background. I just want to make the background a bright color so that we can see what we're doing here, and turn the image back on. And now I'm going to choose mask. So just choose mask here, and that reveals everything. That's what we want in this instance, okay? So in masking, white reveals and black conceals. So we want to change our color to black. So you can just go into values and type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros and then done, and that's the value for black. So now I've got a monoline. I'm just going to choose my own monoline brush there and come in. And now wherever we paint, you'll remember we had that bright kind of pinky red color underneath for the background. That's actually removing the background. So I can come in here and quite quickly get rid of a lot of this area. I'm going to come in and get those finer areas in a minute, but this just is a quick once over to just get rid of a lot of this background area, and then we're going to come in and clean it up. So just give that a once over with a larger kind of brush. And really, I only need to do up to about here because his face is only poking out of the circle. So I can get rid of everything down here. Now I want to drop my brush size. This is where you get a little bit more precise. So now I'm just removing the background. But what you'll find, the reason why you want to mask it rather than just delete it using the eraser is as you go, you might sort of make a mistake here, and sure, you can undo it, but maybe you don't realize you'd done that until later. So now if I go back to my white, I can actually just replace what I've taken away. So it's called non-destructive way of working, and it just means that, you're never really permanently deleting anything. So if you needed to revert to any part of the image that you've taken away and removed, you can. So it's a really clever way to work, just to make sure that you're not deleting anything permanently. So I'll just speed this bit up now and get rid of the rest of the background. So now I'm finished with the mask. I'm happy with where that went. You could always create a duplicate if you didn't want to do this part, but I'm just going to join that mask together now so it's on one layer and it's applied. I'm going to tap on there and just choose copy, and then come back into the design file, into the gallery and the design, and then choose paste. So now we have Bandit's head. I'm just going to position and scale that so that his ears, what's really nice though is to have sort of his ears poking outside of the circle. So you want to make sure that the circle covers his body. So we just want to fit him inside. If I pull him into the photo area, let's just bring him down into the right layer group. And then I'll choose this inside circle. See this blue circle here? Choose select. And now we've got that selection. I'm going to mask him. So now you'll see that he's contained within this circle. If we had done a clipping mask, which is also another good way to mask, we couldn't do this next bit. And what I'd like to do is, what looks really cute is if you can also, we're going to change to white here because remember we want to reveal something, so we need white. I'm going to come on, tap the layer mask and just paint over his ears here so that they are poking over the circle, and that's always just really nice for things to sort of be coming outside of their little container area. Bluey is here. I just want to add a couple of final touches, but we're pretty much there now. We've got all the information. Bluey could use a little bit of a shadow, so in order to do that I'm going to duplicate his layer, take the one underneath. I'm going to choose this sort of darker blue color, and then I'm going to 2-finger swipe to the right to lock the transparency, and just tap on the layer and choose fill layer. So now if I turn the underlayer off, you'll see we've got bluey, but actually it's not really dark enough. So you can always just edit the colors. I'm going to make this saturation a little bit further and choose fill layer. That's better. Now we can see a shadow a little bit more. I just made that blue a bit darker. And now I'll turn bluey back on and just increase the size of this shadow layer so that it's sort of coming out of the area so that we can see his little paw. And we're going to do the same with Bingo, but also what I'd like to do with Bingo is give a little floor shadow. So I've got my monoline brush selected and I've just created a new layer. And I'm just going to draw like a little ellipse circle. When you complete the circle and hold it, Procreate will then make that an ellipse shape, nice and smooth, which is what we want. And just drop the color fill in there and make it a little bit smaller. And then I want to do the same with Bingo as I did with Bluey. So I create a duplicate version, I lock the transparency and then fill the layer. And now I can just create like a little shadow so that it's separating it from the background and just makes it a little bit more visually interesting. There we have it. So I'll just turn off my guidelines, my drawing guides, and we can see the invitation. And you've got your very own kids invitation. So I use Bluey. You can use any theme you like. Don't forget that you can download the template as well, which will just be, if you wanted to just make it a bit quicker, you can change the color, change the text and information, bring in whatever designs you like, get really creative with it. So if you've got someone that needs a birthday invitation, that's a really nice little freebie that you can get. Don't forget the links are below to grab that. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and I'll see you next time.